So, the Retro Cup is here now, and with Kommo-O being double weak to a Fairy-type Pokemon, I'm fairly certain that this Pokemon really enjoys that those are currently banned. And this was honestly one of the strongest teams I have played this season, so far this team was absolutely fantastic. You're gonna see all of the battles I did with this team here today as well. And we're going to have a little bit of an adaptation towards what I had in my top team video. While I had the same backline, I actually suggested the Pokemon of Corsola in Elite. And I saw people as well in the comment section saying, what do you do against Oranguru? And I feel like this was kind of a very valid question at least. And so I decided to kind of change it a tiny bit here by going for Charjabug in the lead. That doesn't mean that the Corsola team would be bad by any means. I would just stay in against Oranguru, go ahead and go for your power gems, kind of still get them kind of low and then put them into farm range for your Kommo-O. So like, don't get me wrong, it's still possible to win against Oranguru, absolutely. But I decided to go for a different route just in order to be a little bit safer even there. Because Oranguru is the only Pokemon, by the way, that was problematic for the other team if you have Corsola in the lead. Anything else, yeah, by the way, first game, quite an easy victory. Anything else doesn't really matter. But so why did we decide to go ahead and go for Charjabug, and why I'm kind of happy about it now, especially in hindsight? Basically, Charjabug is a Pokemon that needs to fit into certain kind of criterias, which also the Corsola was able to fit in as well. So, what are those criteria? You want to have a Pokemon that can beat a Ghost-type Pokemon as well as Psychic-type Pokemon. Which Corsola, of course, with Ghost-type damage and against Psychic-type damage as well, like Ghost-type damage as well, is going to be kind of fine. But there's not really a lot of other Pokemon that can really do that. For us here, Charjabug is quite unique by running the charge move of Crunch. I have to say, I feel like this charge would have been better though when I played it. I don't think Crunch is absolutely necessary. I don't think it is. But it's still definitely an interesting shout in order to deal with Ghost types a little bit easier. But there is, of course, another thing that the Charjabug has to be doing, and this is beating those flying type Pokemon. And I actually didn't really consider this too much as well with the Corsola team, because there are some some normal and flying type Pokemon, which are of course still allowed and very, very solid, that can be problematic, but here with a Volt Switch as a fast move, it's going to be quite a bit easier. And there's also another added benefit towards the Charjabug, which is the resistance of fighting type moves. We saw just now, which we lost sadly, but like we saw us up against the Annihilate, and this is of course a little bit of a better matchup for a Pokemon like this. But of course, again, you're going to have the same as well with the Corsola. But actually, another Pokemon that could work out in the lead would be Ferret, which then would be a little bit too weak towards it. But let's dive right into the battles. By the way, I'm interested in a different format that I'm going to try next season. I can't wait to show you that as well. I think it's going to help you out a lot in terms of trying to find teams towards certain Pokemon in the Go Bad League. It's going to be more of a series as well. Can't wait. I just I'm theory crafting for the new season already. This season, of course, there's not really a lot that you cannot try to climb for, but it's going to be definitely an interesting season coming up. And of course, if you want to see that, feel free to follow this channel. It is free. Like, it helps me out a ton. And especially in times like this where, yeah, we have interlude season nobody cares about. Hasn't been for like 4 years, I think, and I'm happy when it's gonna be gone. But look at this sweep of Kommo-O. Kommo-O was actually the main star of the show. Kommo-O was the Pokemon I wanted to build it around. And we see here already why, because we were able to sweep the opponent with this thing. But basically, what I wanted to say here as well, like where we can now take a look at the gameplay itself, is that this team is absolutely amazing. Like, this team is amazing. Kommo-O is a fantastic Pokemon that benefits quite a bit from no Fairy type and no Fairy type damage really being around, as they're going to be able to one-shot the opponent's Feraligatr with a close combat. And this was a bold move. This is a risky move, but it's a move that definitely worked out quite well for me. And I'll have the option to go for another close combat, but I'm fairly certain I can even reach another Rage Twist in time. I could have even reached another close combat here. This was a mistake by going straight for this move, but it was a safer play to go for, to be fair. But at the end of the day, the opponent used shields anyway, it doesn't really matter. And now we can utilize the closer of Kommo-O. Kommo-O as a closer is absolutely fantastic here. There are quite a lot of normal type Pokemon that are currently around. You resist the Ferret's fast move, which is kind of something I was really looking forward to. And yeah, generally speaking, this Pokemon is amazing, has a lot of great coverage. And look at this Ferret against an Elite. We can just swap out straight away into our first fighter. And here's where you could argue actually that the non-shadow version of the Primeape is actually better than the shadow version, because the shadow version is gonna get knocked out here, while the non-shadow one would have been able to get to 2 close combats in a scenario like this. And so this is actually something that could be argued about on what is better. But here we're going to do an interesting play. I decided to stay in, I decided to go straight into my Charjabug, knowing that they would kind of lock me in here, because I want to keep the energy on my Pokemon for later on, because I know I'm going to be able to get them out here anyway with the Kommo-O. But here we have another Confusion user. So we have double fighting and double Confusion, which of course is not ideal whatsoever. But the Girafarig makes a ginormous mistake by not going for the charge move earlier, because while they want to go for the full farm down, I can still go for an upper hand, which now allows us to remove both of the opponent's shields, which gives us the opportunity to knock them out here with our Charjabug. This is why I kept the energy on this Pokemon, but this battle is far from over. We are at -1 defense, and the opponent has options as well here by going for a Swift or something like this in order to knock me out. We still have a shield, but they decided to go for the Trailblaze, and you see me here over farming because I thought that one Excel isn't enough from this range. Turns out I'm absolutely wrong, and Charjabug is just going to be able to take this game home. The next opponent actually is definitely someone I have on my friend list, so shouts to you. We're going to be able to sub out here into our Primeape against the opponent, and we bait out the Ghost type. This is kind of what we want to do with this team anyway. We want to bait out the Ghost type Pokemon with our Primeape, as we have access to the move Rage Fist, which is not only going to do some super effective damage here, it's also going to be super speedy, which allows us to threaten shields quite easily as well. And here I was thinking, do I shield, do I not shield? And I ultimately decided to shield up the move again, which now allows me to go for another Rage Fist to clear up the way for Kommo-O in the end game. And this is exactly how you want to play the Kommo-O. You kind of want to get rid of the shields from the opponent in order for you to sweep end game, because you have so much damage output with this Pokemon. And as the Fairy type is removed from the current meta here right now, the double step that this Pokemon has kind of doesn't have a resistance really anymore. Like, there's nothing that resists the Dragon type damage generally, and we have here the Pokemon with the highest attack highest Dragon type damage possible with the Clanging Scales. It's the strongest move in the game, kinda. I think it's like for 45 energy or something, it's like 120 damage. It's some crazy thing. It's absolutely crazy damage that this move has here. And while we're debuffed, we're easily going to be able to two-shot the opponents. I recommend one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game. And we will be able to also now go ahead and try to clear our debuff. That's why I decided to swap out of here. That's why I decided to swap out of this scenario, even though I have the upper hand already stored. The opponent goes for their move. I'm going to be able to let the move go here and keep the shield for my Kommo-O. And we see that we have now the upper hand, literally, as this is going to allow us to one-shot the Ferret for sure. Stab, super effective, hard-hitting move. Goodbye there. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to face up the Oranguru in the lead. And this is exactly where we have the Charjabug here. I go straight for the Extra, but the opponent catches this one on the Ferret. And I'm like, okay, that's not ideal. But I have answers. I have answers for the Ferret, and I was thinking that the Primeape is the better option here for myself. But honestly, I make a bit of a mistake here, which I will explain now. I should have went here for Rage Fist, because this would have allowed me to get an early attack boost, which would have allowed me now, because I know that I only get one move in here, to do way more damage to the close combat. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The opponent decides to go for a shield. It doesn't matter at all then. But they swap out into their own Kommo-O. And at this point, I'm very certain I'm going to be able to win this, because I have now the opportunity to go for the full Dragon Tail down. And of course, the opponent's going to try to take this as an opportunity to go for their own charge moves. But I'm fairly certain I'm going to be in such a good position that there's nothing they can do anymore. And you know what's kind of funny? While we're debuffed, the opponent has access to some charge moves, but they're all going to be resisted, and so I can let the move go through here straight away. I want to go for the Clanging Scales, which does way more damage, but upper hand is going to be able to connect as well, get the shield, which is fine, and with that we should be kind of fine here at winning the battle. Here, of course, actually the debuff from the opponent was kind of unfortunate, because I could have went for an upper hand and then Clanging Scales against the opponent as well, I think otherwise, but it is what it is, and we're gonna still be able to win here with our lead, our Charjabug. And one more thing that I have to say towards this team as well is that this is a very fast team. Like, you're going to enjoy running this team because you're going to get your battles done so quickly. And you know what's kind of cool about Kommo as well? The typing itself actually completely hard resists everything that the Charjabug is going to throw at us. Like, there's nothing the opponent can do here in order to threaten us. Volt Surge is resisted, Discharge is resisted, Excel is resisted, and Crunch is resisted. So the entire moveset of Charjabug is going to be resisted against us. And while they're still going to do a little bit after all of those charge moves here, we're going to be able to easily one-shot them with the Clanging Scales and knock them out straight away. And then comes the Dugong, where I go for the wrong move. it doesn't matter a little bit. It could have given me the debuff here, but it doesn't really matter then generally, because I'm gonna get still the shield, and I'm gonna have alignment, which now allows me to align my Primeape against the opponent's Dugong, and my other Pokemon here, my Charjabug, against the opponent's Annihilate. And you see me actually staying in here. Why? Because I decided to get more energy, which now would allow me to kind of play it a bit more safer for the end game. But actually, I was one off for playing it really safe, because if I get one more extra fast move there, I would have been able to just go for 2 close combats and knock them out at this point. Yeah, close combat easily going to knock out a ghost type here at this point. But I don't have that luxury yet. And so I predict that the opponent will swap out straight away. I go for the close combat straight away, knocking out straight easily the Dugong. And we can now go for the Ray Twist, which will be enough to knock them out as well. So this was a masterclass on Primeape, keeping the energy on the Charjabug, and winning us this battle. And now we have actually an amazing lead. We have the option to one-shot this Pokemon with our Exeter here, as well as they only do resisted damage against our lead. So like, we're in a good position, right? Yes, but also no. Here is where we have now battles where it hurts that we don't have Discharge, because I don't have the damage output here. And what am I going to do next? Well, I'm going to do next against the Toxapex, a Pokemon that kind of disappeared slowly from the Go Battle League. Nobody's running this thing anymore. Even though it's one of the bulkiest Pokemon, but it's so difficult. I guess it's hard to go for the upper hand here. I was hoping that they would utilize the shield here in order to keep the alignment, but they don't. And so that was a mistake by me, but I'm gonna get the debuff against the opponent still and can reach for another charge move, which maybe even allows us to get the KO, but it doesn't. They swap out and keep themselves into this matchup. That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to anyone here. But what we can do is we can go for the Exeter, get the shield, and we should be able... I should have let this move go. I think I'm very certain I would have been able to take this hit from this range yet. But I'm greedy. I'm go for extra energy. I go for an extra shield. It was not necessary. I should have just let the move go. Get the final shield there, and then just try to sweep endgame with my other Pokemon here, with my Primeape. But now I'm in a bad position, because now it is going to knock us out because of all the leafage damage prior, which would have not been the case prior. So like, I really made a big mistake here. And it comes Leaf Blade. Now we are shields down. We are going to have against us the Dragnet, and truth be told, I'm very certain if I just played better, I would have been able to win this battle here, guaranteed at this point already, because I reckon it's not even the worst matchup for us. We have access to our charge move Ray Twist, which is boost our own attack up, and 3 Ray Twists look like it's going to be enough to knock out the Dragnet. But sadly, we barely miss out on getting to the final one in time. It's one turn basically. If this would have landed earlier, I would have knocked him out now. I would have had some more health. I would have had +3 instead of +2 in terms of our attack, and I maybe would have been able to win this battle here as well, just with my Primeape, but that was just one turn down. And here we are facing off against a hard counter. Our lead can still hurt the opponent's Drampa by the Exeter, like it's gonna still chunk a little bit, but we have an ABB style line at the end of the day, and we kind of want to bait out Pokemon that are like a bit difficult for, I guess, like those fighting type Pokemon to deal with, which Dusclops is definitely one of them. I'm happy to bait this Pokemon out because it also has access to Ace Punch, which then does super effective damage against our other Pokemon. So yeah, as we see here, the Shadow Punch is coming through. We're going to be able to go into our Charjabug now. The Drampa comes in, and we have the Kommo-O now coming in, and this was a bit of a mistake. I should have stayed in. I should have went for a Charge Move first, because now I'm aware that they generate energy at the same pacing as we do, but the issue is that they are going to be able to go to the Swift so much faster, because there's just cheaper move. It's just a cheaper move. They have energy advantage, and it's a stab move at the end of the day. Swift is a stab move. It does a lot of damage, but I'm not too sure on what we're gonna do now with its Titan. We could have most likely played this battle a little bit better as well again, but what can I do? And that is kind of the story here today. This team itself is amazing. I do think that Discharge is going to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit better on the Charjabug, so I wouldn't personally run it, but I don't have TM, so like I don't have a choice. But yeah, otherwise this team is absolutely fantastic. You can run the non-Shadow Primeape as well if you want to run this team here. I would highly recommend it. If you don't have a Charjabug, go for either the Ferret, which is going to help you out a little bit more with the Oranguru, or the Corsair, which is going to be a bit more generally neutral. But it's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and we'll see you then. Bye bye.